It's actually Weibo just going to be slamming theirs in straight away, taking that Annie for Xiaohu, something he's been playing a lot of. For LGD, they love to get themselves a strong bot lane if they can grab it early on. With the Ashe Seraphine available, that could be something they look to just take quickly, because this bot lane is the place, if you're going to beat Weibo, that you really want to be looking.
Absolutely. It's immediate slam, though, of the Ashe Seraphine for Shaoye and YCX. Very powerful bot lane duo, but Elk and the Heng have had pretty good answers into it, whether it is the Lucian Milio or things like the Jhin Karma. Karma's banned away, which means they're going to go with option A. Hey, this is actually a bot lane Bloxxer that can get priority and can be powerful in the 2v2.
It can, but it's a pretty tough lane overall for you to be able to play. All of the slows that come through from that Ashe Seraphine means that actually closing the different distance and dealing enough damage can be really tricky. You're going to need some jungle intervention if you really want to make this bot lane work. We'll see what it is that Jiejie is going to pick up for himself. For LGD, it looks like they're also going to be just trying to pick themselves something up nice and stable right here for Tangyuan, something that he's, again, played a decent amount of and has found some pretty good success versus these group Nirvana mid laners. Specifically, I really like the way that Tangyuan and Heng can work together, get involved in a lot of these other lanes, and just really try to work as a duo to then influence the top lane somewhere that they've found a lot of success.
Yeah, Tangyuan 2-0 on the Akali so far. The top side of the map certainly has been the shining point of, honestly, both of these teams this season, which is why we think this matchup could be decently exciting, even though the players on Weibo are so much more veteran, so much more experienced, and potentially just have the overall advantage in many people's minds. The way that LGD has been playing, though, in Group Nirvana maybe speaks otherwise. As we head into the second phase of the draft, Lee Sin banned away from Jiejie, champion that he is always super comfortable on. We expect the jungle pools to be pinched on both sides right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now for LGD, they've got themselves a composition where you can play pretty heavily around your bot side. You've got some great pick potential that you could potentially play around as well if they want to pair it upside along something like the Pantheon to give them those extra levels of globals to work around. That could be really fun. For Weibo, again, some level of pick potential if you want to just blow somebody up through this Annie, but they really need themselves some frontline to be able to buy space for this Lucian right here.
A little more range potentially on this team as well. Trundle taken away from Heng. Wonder if Zika's pool gets targeted at all. You know, you typically think of Zika as being a big carry player throughout his career, but actually really has been finding his own niche in the tank category, specifically on the Scion. So not surprised to see that one banned away by LGD. And trying to get Burdol a little bit of a more stable matchup to play into.
Exactly, if you are Burdol right here, you don't want to be dealing with this Scion. It just can shut down so much of what it is that he likes to play. He's been specifically great on the Rumble, something he's been going back to time and time again. The Naha also looking pretty good for him. Final ban coming on through right here. Weibo really taking their time with this one, expecting it to be potentially another jungle ban. No, instead they see that the Rumble could potentially be really nice alongside this combo. Lock somebody down, chuck down that ulti, so they take that one away.
Surprised to not see Xin Zhao taken away in this second phase. Typically something that really goes well alongside the Ashe Seraphine. But maybe LGD have other ideas as they're hovering on Fury for now. A lot of options that Heng could end up going for. Xin Zhao typically is the top of the tier list, but priorities might have shifted heading into this Knights Rivals phase. It will be a lot of shuffling back and forth, but we're going to end up with the Nefiri here for Heng, I believe.
Okay, I mean, I agree that I think the Xin Zhao would have been really nice right here, especially into the Lucian. He opens up with that ulti, and you can just say no with your own ulti straight back, but instead they're going to look for something a little bit more aggressive. This tells me LGD, they want to be playing more towards this early game as much as possible. Don't want to be letting Weibo get into the later stages. They want to punish this Lucian, this Milio. They are going to lock themselves in the Jarvan right here, our Weibo, so that is some nice engage that they really did need. And the Renekton 2, again, just a couple champions though that are going to need to get very up close and personal to the LGD members, and with all of the slows, with the Seraphine ulti as well to potentially turn you back away, this could end up being a little bit tricky to execute for Weibo.
Definitely feels like a Weibo composition, though, especially into a Nirvana team.
Yeah,
they have had a lot of history going up into these play-in stages, and perhaps they feel confident enough that they can just hands-check their opponents to death. Final pick for Burdol, going to be his Gnar, one of the most played champions that he has had in his very short stint on LGD Gaming. Going to be a pretty standard matchup into the Renekton, so nothing super surprising there, but I think LGD overall got a lot Bloxxer out of what they wanted here in this first game draft.
Absolutely, I'd say so, right? They really like this Ashe Seraphine. It's one of the strongest bot lane combos that we've had in the entire game for a while. One of the highest priorities that people have been going for. But the fact that you also get Burdol on something really comfortable. The only thing that's a little bit out of left field, potentially, is going to be this Neferi, but it's not something that we haven't seen him play before, right? That is something you can play around. The composition overall really wants to get things rolling at that first item spike. Once you get one item going, start looking to pick people off, using these ultis as effectively as possible. You want to see LGD trying to get ahead as much as they can during the early game, but the same can be said for Weibo, specifically this bot lane. If the Lucian falls behind, it feels so rough to try to play, but this is a really tough bot lane for it to try to crack, so I expect a lot of these junglers down in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, these junglers both going to have to be incredibly active in this early game. For Heng, the Neferi really likes to snowball, and for Weibo, the Jarvan for Jiejie wants to get his lanes ahead as fast as possible. And we'll see if it will be a possibility here for Weibo Gaming to continue their winning ways in the play-in stage. They have been hot here with the Heng subbing into the support role. They are looking to make it back into the LPL playoffs and try to make a run back towards a top 3 spot. As for LGD, potentially wading into uncharted territory. They have not finished in the top 8 since 2020. Will that happen today? We shall find out as we head onto the Rift for game number 1.
Unfortunately, no Gyos to be getting all excited about. These play-ins obviously being played online, but still very excited to be jumping on into this one. And if any of the previous 3 series in this play-ins have been any indication of what's to come, this should still be an absolute banger between these two teams. As we've been saying, right, a lot of early game focus, a lot of bot lane focus potentially coming on through. As we're expecting then, both of the junglers will be starting towards the top side of the map, although I'm not sure if we're expecting to see a level 4, level 3 gank coming on through. You probably want to be first clearing, then getting back out onto the map. Depends on if somebody's overstepping a little bit in the bot lane.
Like not much of that so far, as both bot lanes know their junglers are on the way sooner rather than later. Interesting to see that Elk and the Hank go for the Lucian Milio lane as opposed to something a little bit more safe, but perhaps a little bit more confidence going up against a group Nirvana opponent. They are going to get shoved in just because of the presence of that Ashe Seraphine early on, but it really will be up to Elk to make some big plays here in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, you're just going to be looking to push this bot lane in as much as possible. Anytime one of these slows lands, it's very tricky for Elk to get away. You can see he's having to play pretty far back, and this is going to continue at least until we get some jungle intervention, or maybe a little bit of a first item coming on through. For the minute, though, we watch as these junglers continue their way down towards the bottom side of the map. We're not really expecting to see too much jungle intervention into the top or the mid lane, unless somebody's stepping too far forwards, but we are expecting these mid laners to roam around and move out from this mid lane as quickly as possible.
More trading down here in the bottom side as well. Elk with the Cozy Campfire able to play rather safe for himself as our junglers are finishing off their first clears. I want to talk about the mid laners for a second as well, Bloxxer, because Xiaohu and Tangyuan, they have not played against each other in a full best of 5, and if you are a true LPL fan, you might know that they both have played on RNG. Xiaohu, obviously, the long-time veteran over on that squad who won 3 MSI titles, but Tangyuan immediately replaced him and did not have as much success, obviously, on that team. But since coming over to LGD, he has actually looked a lot better, and so this is why we're pretty excited about what this mid matchup has in store.
Absolutely. I mean, Tangyuan during split number 1, I thought was one of the better looking mid laners that we had for Group Nirvana. Obviously, it doesn't end up fully working out for them in the end, but was able to play pretty good overall. And it's kind of been the same thing for Xiaohu, where his highlights are so incredibly good, but for the most part has been having a bit of a weird up and down split. Jiejie, Zika, these have been really stable lanes for Weibo, where Xiaohu, in the later stages, has been able to really become that for his team as well, and that has been really good to see. I think that's a big part of why Weibo were able to step up and start winning as many games towards the end of the split as they were.
Absolutely. I mean, Xiaohu, as much as we've criticized him here on LPL English over these past 2 years on Weibo, really had looked better over these last few weeks, looking like that spring tiger that he made a name for himself for when he was on teams like RNG in the past, whether it was in the mid lane or the top lane. It was always the story of how RNG was able to do well in the spring season, do well at MSI, win those titles, but never make it towards the end of the year. Didn't even see them get really that far last year in 2025, so maybe this is the time where the spring jump up in power will really come to fruition for Xiaohu.
Absolutely, and we can only hope that for Weibo. Of course, if you're LGD, you're hoping that that is not going to be coming on through and that Tangyuan's going to be able to step out to the top of this matchup. For the minute, kind of just getting bullied around by the Annie early on, as you would expect to happen. Has gone towards the Electrocute, so is trying to go for these slightly more aggressive trades, but so far is going to be down by about 10 CS, having to teleport back into the lane right now, and this is the joy of having the Annie, right? You could just neutralize any of these potentially more aggressive lane matchups, and then you give your team so much in terms of that aggression that can come on through at the beginning of team fights, locking people down.
Oh, and early on, Weibo really exerting their power in the early game. Elk forcing the flash out of Xiaoye early. The Ultra Mega Fire Kick actually lands on a YCX, forces another Summoner spell out of the Seraphine. So not only are Weibo having leads in the top and the mid lane in terms of CS, they just forced a couple of major Summoner spells off of this Ashe Sera.
The fact that the Seraphine now doesn't have Flash is going to leave YCX incredibly vulnerable to just repeats of the exact same thing right here. That being said, Elk does have to expend his Flash for that play, so once we tick over to these level 6s that should be coming through relatively soon, that's going to leave Elk under some extra threat, and if we do end up getting to see some sort of gank down into the bottom lane, again, Illusion without Flash, still not one of the most immobile champions, but it is going to be a little bit more of a risky situation. I'm going to recognize all of this happening and just start up this Hex Tech Drake. No real response, you have to imagine. Jiejie is in the area, but this one already falling very low. We'll see if they're going to be able to walk out cleanly.
Seen some crazy steals in the play-in stage so far. He's
oh
gonna get another one as Jiejie flashes into the pit and takes the dragon down. Cataclysm forward onto both flashless bottom laners, and Xiaohu has come to make him pay. Lands the Incinerate and picks up first blood for the Weibros.
Oh, and the LGD just weren't quick enough to be able to take that one down. Didn't quite have enough damage available to them at this point, and just walking in, stealing that one away. And the fact that you're able to just steal that one straight out from under your opponent's noses is massive. YCX dying as well. They're giving that kill over to Xiaohu. We're just talking about how much better he's been looking, and on this Annie getting some early power into the back pocket, nothing to sniff about either.
A great start for our Group Ascend representatives. Weibo have seen the struggles of their fellow Ascend counterparts so far over these past 2 days. Nirvana has had the edge in game score 8-5 at this point. Weibo trying to even that count up if they could pick up a 3-0 here today, but LGD looking to maybe make it a little bit more in their favor as they're now heavily trading on the Weibo bottom lane. Elk has to use the Relentless Pursuit to get away, but the CS advantage is still in their favor, and they're going to have this wave crashing towards them momentarily.
I mean, once you get a little bit of a trade going, if you can walk towards Elk, have these trades be a little bit more extended, that's where things are going to go slightly better. This, I mean, you've got to stop Jiejie from being able to get in way sooner. The thing is, Jiejie was able to tick over to that. Oh my god, they live in the bot lane. Holy.
Yeah, we got to go back to live here.
Yeah, staring on into the picture-in-picture as Elk took so much damage right there. No flash, no barrier, so he's incredibly vulnerable. Still sticking around, both junglers as well, coalescing in the bot lane.
Yeah, Elk and the Hank were really hoping to catch that cannon wave, but I just don't think they have the health bars to do so. Jiejie instead going to try to capture as much experience as he can while his bot lane goes back to base. Heng able to harass a little bit, but doesn't want to stay in that area too long, knowing that Xiaohu also has push. Instead, maybe making the play for the Annie, but he is spotted on a ward.
I mean, this is what you really need to be doing at this point. Once the Neferi ticks over to that level 6, you need to be getting involved in these lanes as possible, and just unfortunately wasn't quite able to find what he was looking for down in the bottom side of the map, and everybody just heads straight back to their jungling. The fact that this has been a pretty slow-paced early game overall really is benefiting onto Weibo. They're able to delay things a little bit, and once they get these first item spikes coming through, where their Lucian's online, where their Annie's online, things are going to be looking really good. Can't forget as well, Jiejie getting that first item will give him so much extra ability to be able to frontline, and up by about 1,200 gold and that first Hextech Drake, Weibo in a very comfortable position in this first game.
Yeah, I mean, we said it in the draft, right? Whoever gets that first item power spike, whoever is able to get to that mid game a little bit earlier, it's going to have a huge advantage. And so far the CS numbers and just the early kill that went over to Xiaohu, certainly favoring Weibo Gaming. So a lot of time for LGD to kind of ramp up. Ashe Seraphine definitely scales very well into the late game, although they also have a good mid game spike. Now Heng has made his way down towards the bottom side of the map. Grubs are up, but neither jungler really seems too interested in it.
No, and as we had talked about during the draft phase, right, bot lane going to be the big focus for both of these teams. Both junglers continuing to hang around in the lane. And unfortunately, stepping a little bit too far forwards before the wards were cleared out, so he gets spotted. Means that Weibo's bot lane at least know that he is in the area. Both junglers, though, are now going to take those resets, and you can see Tangyuan already setting a little bit of vision up around these grubs. It looks like that is something that LGD are going to be focusing in on. They've got some decent push in the top lane to play around as well, so the grubs should be theirs if they want to move towards them.
Yeah, it looks like both junglers are going to be there, but Burdol with push able to arrive first for LGD. Likely will be able to at least get a couple of these, but Jiejie is around and has his smite. Make it a 1-for-2 if he wanted to go in, but because the numbers just aren't on his side, the waves aren't looking too good. It looks like LGD going to have these pretty easily at this point.
And now you're going to get this rotation coming through from Zika. I'm going to try to finish this one up.
Up to 43!
Oh,
he got it!
Okay.
Oh, Zika,
okay.
he could have queued a little bit later and secured that one for himself, but now it's 3-0 in the Grubs department for LGD. Meanwhile, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow landed onto Elk. Not going to be too much in terms of retaliatory damage, but that's a big win for the top side of the map. Heng able to secure all 3 of those Void Grubs.
Absolutely it is, and this is a situation actually where grabbing all 3 of the Void Grubs is going to be really nice. You've got yourself a Nai, you've got yourself an Akali, 2 champions that are very good at going to push in through these side lanes, so them being able to take down towers a little bit quicker is going to be a really nice benefit for LGD if they're able to get themselves into a position to be split pushing, so I have to keep tracking onto that one. Once again though, things go back to our even lane state. The next Drake has spawned. It is going to be a Cloud Drake, so not the most enticing necessarily, but with all of this bot lane focus going on, you have to imagine we're going to get ourselves another skirmisher in the area pretty soon.
Yeah, Jiejie able to steal that one, maybe in a bit of a better position to start this dragon this time for Weibo, who are starting to hit those white item spikes. The Thunder Sky here for the Jarvan. Annie for Xiaohu now has the Rocket Belt. Essence Reaver for Elk. Take a look at the other side for LGD. They do not have any of those items completed. That is the power of that 1.1k gold lead that our Group Ascend representatives currently possess.
I'm just about going to be able to grab himself that Eclipse, so is now in a good position to skirmish, but like you said, it's just a little bit behind on that timer, means he has to recall, and you are just going to be able to start up and most likely finish this Drake right here for Weibo. 2 Drakes for them, so the Drake stacking coming on through. And this is exactly what they wanted. With all of this bot lane focus that they have been trying to play around, the fact that it works out for them, and they're able to grab themselves these early couple of Drakes is a really big boon, and it means that this bot side continues to be something they can play towards. The response from LGD looks like they're just going to collapse onto Zika top lane.
Zika, he clears the entire wave, which means that Burdol's going to have to go in raw, pops the Gnar, still should be able to get it done in a 4v1 situation. There's a good chance by Zika to try and make sure there was no minions underneath the tower, but it was not enough as LGD equalized the kill score.
It's about the best read that you can get right here from LGD, looking to play towards the top side. Jiejie jumping in.
Very aggressive flag and drag forward. He's going to get hit up by the Encore and really taken low at this point. Not enough damage for Heng, though, to finish him off. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow does not connect. And so Heng should just be able to get away with this red buff. A couple of plates being traded on the top side of the map as well. But Elk's getting the same amount down on the bottom side, Bloxxer, and there's no bot lane quests finally completed. Finally, actually, those do end up going down. But Weibo's going to be pretty happy with how that specific sequence ended up going.
And indeed, things at least looking good for Weibo for the minute. They do get a teleport off down to the bot lane through LGD to stop the tower from going down. Still, the same going to happen in the top lane, and nobody's going to be able to pick up first tower right this second. Burdol trying to chase Elk down, about to go Mega.
Who actually does land that hyper proc is Mega, lands the stun with a wallop, but Elk pops the barrier. Burdol had his flash, but it looks like he just didn't want to fully commit. Back comes through here for Elk. Actually ends up canceling it because he knows that Jiejie's now in the area as well. Burdol now has to flash away. A nice job by Jiejie to keep his bot laner in a good position in this game.
And that's really just a misread right here out of Burdol. Should have known that you would have had friends coming down towards the bottom side of the map. Your team had taken over the top side once again, and everybody was going to be heading back down towards the bottom side of the map. So just loses out on his flash for no particularly good reason. The fact that you get the barrier out of Elk is something, but Elk doesn't have to blow the flash in that situation, which would have been the bigger benefit overall. So things remaining at about the 1k gold lead. And now Xiaohu coming down to the bottom lane. Yep, Burdol just going to have to run away. At this point, now with the Rocket Bell completed, the Annie dealing some decent damage, we've got ourselves a little while until the next big objective is going to spawn. The Herald coming through in about a minute's time.
For now, looks like both of our bot lanes have made their way mid. Elk and the Hank able to generate a bit of a CS lead, partially through the help of Jiejie down on the bottom side. Xiaohu making a play towards Tangyuan in the bottom lane. Stunned up by the Tibbers, but Tangyuan has the Shroud, which means he should be able to live. Does come at the cost of that first tower, which goes the way of Weibo on the bottom side.
This is really impressive right here from Weibo because they do have a pretty short-range composition overall. We'll see how they're going to be able to execute that during the team fights, but just in terms of taking away these towers, it's still going to be quite tricky for them to step up and grab all those turret plating, so all that alone time Elk got in the bot lane really paying dividends right now, and 20 seconds until the Rift Tower comes up. If Weibo are able to grab that, again, that's going to really help them with what could potentially be a pretty tricky objective game for them later on.
Take a look at the clock now at 15 minutes. Back starting to come through. For the bottom lane for Weibo Gaming, Elk and the Hank, since they have really joined together, the first 15 minutes of the game have been their worst. They've combined 6 and 15 kills in death ratio, negative 500 in terms of the goal difference of 15. But they've still actually won all the series, part of it through really good team fighting from Elk. And you take a look now, Weibo's bot lane does have an advantage now in gold, so this is a very good situation for them. However, a teamfighter on the Rift Herald might be able to stymie that now as Tangyuan goes forward, immediately has to use the perfect execution to get on out. Burdol looking for a little bit more. They actually pressure Weibo away from the Herald pit and allow for Heng to secure it with a smite.
Oh, that was risky right there, Tangyuan, but one of the joys of the Akali, the Shroud, all of the movement abilities that you have, and he's able to just draw enough attention away from the pit. Instantly going to be popped down is this Rift Herald heading into the mid lane, teleport coming in as well, but this tower may well just go straight down. Not quite going to have enough damage. I think he's able to stop that one from coming through. I do like the decision right here out of LGD, though. You've already got yourself a good chunk of plating off of the top lane, the bot lane towers, and really mid lane is the one you're most interested in cracking open.
Should go down sooner rather than later, potentially around this next dragon. I would have maybe preferred LGD to hold the Herald until the Drake spawn. They desperately need to get into that pit early for the way their composition wants to function, and also for them to try to make sure that Weibo is unable to secure soul point for themselves. Chemtech Soul, not the biggest deal in the world, but you want to make sure that Weibo don't just get it for free.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can stop this from happening, it will definitely be a benefit. You can see once again LGD just hunting around this mid lane. Heng really trying to get himself involved in this game a little bit more than he has already. And Jiejie stepping up right now. There's a lot of darkness coming on through LGD. They've been able to set themselves up well into this river, but clearly needing a couple of resets. YCX going to head back to base and sprint his way back out because the Drake has now spawned, and both teams positioning over mid lane control for the minute.
Yep, and Elk using the culling. This is classic Lucian gameplay. Use that ultimate to gain mid prio when Shaoye is already down to 30% HP. Gonna make this dragon fight near impossible, as Weibo now will have full control of the pit.
Okay, some pretty big damage coming on through, but this is a lot of ultis now blown.
Yeah, Enchanted Crystal Arrow will land onto the Milio. The Hank going to actually save the Breath of Life because he does not feel he's in danger. Dragon at 3,000 HP. Gnar goes in onto the Renekton, and in goes Tangyuan. Zika out of position and gets taken down. 4v5 on the map right now, as Shaoye is still at a healthy position. Jiejie secures the Dragon, so it's soul point, but it'll come at the cost of a team fight win going to LGD. They already have picked up 2 kills and could look for 3rd, even 4th, as Heng dashes forward, forces Jiejie to flag and drag defensively. Tangyuan still on the hunt, but they won't be able to find anything more. At the end of the day, it's a 2-0 in favor of LGD, but Weibo do get that coveted 3rd Drake.
Yeah, the Drake is going to be something for Weibo to potentially build around, but they lose out onto all of that gold lead that they had made for themselves. They've also lost a ton of flashes off of key members. Elk no longer got that flash. Jiejie too having to use that one to try to limp back away. And this could be critical now because we've still got more things coming up pretty soon. 2 minutes until the Baron is going to spawn. You lose your mid lane tower as well. All of a sudden, LGD find themselves 1.5k in the advantage.
Oh no, Bloxxer. I feel us going into the Twilight Zone once again. This has just been the story of the play-in stage this weekend. A wild 4 series, and this one looking to deliver all the same.
Yeah, so far, Weibo not dominating in the way you would have overall expected. And I really like this decision-making right here out of LGD. They sit back, they don't over-aggress until the moment at which Zika oversteps. And talking of Zika overstepping,
yeah, might have another one here. Call the pack issued onto the Renekton, forces him to flash away, but that might not even be enough. Heng jumps forward, and Burdol secures the kill. The top side of the map for LGD is popping off here early on.
Those stacks coming through doing massive damage. Xiaoye, though, needing to dodge away, is going to be able to get back YCX in the area. And once again, Elk trying to dump damage onto Xiaoye, gets some in, but doesn't blow any summoner spells away from his opponent. And even with a little bit of rotation towards the top side, Tangyuan should still be fine. Again, the Akali going to be very slippery. And look what's happening down in the bottom side of the map. This is the problem with losing out onto your top laner right now. That split pushing we'd been talking about earlier. And even all three of those grubs that went over to LGD just fueling this push coming through from Burdol.
2-0 and 2 on the Gnar. It was looking a little rough at the start of the laning phase, but thanks to the help of Heng, maybe Tangyuan pitching in as well, they've been able to get this Gnar in a very good position. Bloxxer and Burdol, one of the shining lights of LGD all season long, could be in a good position to carry this game. Who's not right now with Xiaohu, who has to already flash away from the Akali, who was looking to threaten with that public execution, but Jiejie here to respond. Takes Heng down. It's a big shutdown over to the J4. Teleport comes in. It will be from Burdol, but it will be too late. Right at the 20-minute mark, so LGD want to make sure they have position around the top side, but another kill goes the way of Weibo Gaming.
And the fact that you blow that teleport right there to get to a play that has already fizzled out is going to be pretty unfortunate. It's going to stop a lot of that split pushing from being quite as effective as LGD would have wanted. Of course, they've still got a teleport available on Tangyuan, so they can now send him down to the bottom side as well. Sit around the top side with Burdol. We'll see how long they're going to spend just pushing through these side lanes. Obviously, the Baron is now up and available, but neither of these teams really going to be looking to just steal this one away suddenly. Not got the fastest Baron takes available. Instead, if you can find a pick for LGD, that's the way to kick things off. These enchanted crystal arrows have been landing during team fights, but not so much during the plays beforehand where you could maybe pick someone off and get yourself a 4v5.
Yeah, the picks are good when you have this Ashe Seraphine combination. The long range engages from both of the ultimates down here can be followed up very easily by Heng, who can just jump in with that ulti of his own. But also, the 5v5 is not bad for LGD either, right? Especially if Burdol's able to get online, if Tangyuan's able to find a good flank. LGD are feeling very confident about where their composition is at in this game right now.
Absolutely, they have done really well to get themselves back from what was a little bit of an early game deficit, and yeah, we were saying how they don't necessarily have the fastest 5-man take, but while Tangyuan sat down on the bottom side of the map, gonna look to try and steal this one away. Jiejie will spot this one out, and no harm, no foul, can just head up back towards the mid lane, back towards the top side, keep pushing things out as Elk gets a little bit caught right here.
Force issue the culling. Call the pack comes out from Heng again, but he gets chunked down to half HP already. Jiejie flag and drags over, make sure there's no further aggression. Couple big cooldowns utilized there for LGD, and the dragon that will be the soul for Weibo is spawning in 40 seconds.
The fact that you now don't have yourself that enchanted crystal arrow, it went wide during the beginnings of that play, could potentially cost them right here as Tangyuan as well, getting forced back.
Weibo looking very aggressive right now. Nice job by Heng to throw out a couple of Qs, force Elk back a little bit. But it will be the dragon spawning still in 20 seconds. Weibo do not want to give up their control of this mid lane.
No, absolutely not. With the Soul coming up, this is a critical fight right here for Weibo. All of those previous losses does leave them in a little bit of a gold deficit, but in terms of the items, the majority of champions having those 2 items to play around for Weibo, they're in a good spot to step up right here.
Burdol is Mega Gnar right now. If Weibo can wait this out, they'll be in a really good position to try to secure the soul. But now it's LGD that hold control over the bottom side river. Target will immediately be the Mega Gnar, as Elk is going to dash forward again and actually just end up wasting that cooldown. Burdol will be exhausted for the next 30 seconds or so. Means that Weibo might have an opportunity to strike now. The problem is they don't have a ton of super easy to click engage unless Xiaohu is able to find a really nice anti-stun, but the vision in the bottom river still belongs to LGD. Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes out. It hits onto Xiaohu, but the Breath of Life will keep him up and healthy as mid lane will once again be pushed in, and the dragon is now started by Burdol.
And you can just keep drawing the members over in towards this darkness right here. LGD got positioning around this bush, and they are not giving it up. The poke isn't massive coming out of LGD, but it is enough to make them quite scared to step up, and Burdol has now got himself that rage back up again. Goes Mega. Not sure if he's going to be able to find an angle right now, though.
It's been a 2-step tango around this dragon. They both know how critical this fight will be. In goes the Mega Gnar, 2-man stun, including Wanta Jiejie. Heng picks up the first kill, a second onto the Hank, another 2 for nothing for LGD, and they'll deny the soul for now.
Oh my god, right there, YCX setting things up with the Encore and allowing Burdol to get that flash Gnar off into the wall. They deny the soul away from Weibo, and they get themselves a couple of kills in the process right now. You've got yourself no jungler for 20 seconds, and LGD heading up towards the Baron.
LGD looking to do the rest of their Nirvana representatives proud. They watched Thunder Talk, they watched Edward Gaming, and they want to join the party. They start up the Baron. Jiejie still dead for the next 5 seconds, so Weibo going to try to fight this one 3v5 to get LGD away from the big purple worm. Tangyuan comes in with a teleport, looking to jump over the wall as Elk has been really out of position at this point. A full combo will connect onto the Akali, but a nice stun from Xiaohu who's going to save Elk's life for now. He's ending up living, but Tangyuan ends up finishing the job before flashing on out. Baron secured by LGD, and they'll get out without losing a single player.
Only one member gonna fall in the initial engage, but still LGD, they want more. Okay, the Mega Fire Kick just gonna stop Heng from being able to jump in any further. There was a potential flank coming through from Zika. You could see Weibo desperately wanting to pick up some kills and take the Baron buff away from these LGD members, but now they're going to have Baron to be dealing with. 5,000 gold, the advantage right here for LGD, and it's coming through. They're going to get third items completed very soon on some of these key members.
Remember how this game started? It was Weibo smashing LGD in all 3 lanes. Jiejie having a good early game as well. But since then, LGD have dominated these fights specifically around these neutral objectives. Sure, they have given up the soul point to Weibo because of their weak early game, but they don't care really about that at this point. They were able to deny the soul, pick up the Baron, and now really try to hammer home this gold lead for the next few minutes.
Absolutely, I mean, Heng going to be able to pick himself up that Serpent's Fang, really useful into a composition with as much shielding as Weibo has. You can see these Baron-empowered minions and the grubs that they were able to get earlier, just making light work of this tower. Bot lane tier 2 tower should fall. Burdol, he's okay, just able to turn around and walk this one out.
Zika, he's just trying to go forward, but forward will be his demise. Shaoye ends up picking up the kill with the Ranger's focus, and LGD get another kill for free.
Teleport back in coming through from Burdol, and you already had all of this push coming through from Tangyuan up in the top side of the map. Things are falling apart right here for Weibo, and we thought that this was going to be the most one-sided of all 3 of the games, all 4 of the games we've had. But so far, LGD, they are threatening to win game 1.
I think if you asked a lot of us here on the LPL English broadcast who was going to win this series, I think you see a single person pick LGD to take it all and go into the playoffs, but that is looking like a real possibility at this point as they have just made Weibo look silly over the first 26.5 minutes of this game. L chunked down to half as the inhibitor towers are now the target here for LGD. They have the Baron buff for another 40 seconds, and Tangyuan's able to pick up the first tier 3 up on the top side of the map. L dashes forward, not able to find anything more, but it will allow for Shaoye and Heng to go for a little bit on the bottom side now. Weibo have been split up, and that is not how their composition really wants to function right now, Bloxxer. But they are not forced to do anything at this point. Tangyuan able to clear that top lane inhibitor, and LGD are getting everything that they want off of this Baron power play.
Absolutely, they are. Baron empowered cannon room right here, going to be able to take down this tier 3 tower in the bot side as well. And like you said, Weibo, they really need their champions together right now, and instead,
just stepping too far forward, takes an arrow straight to the dome, and Shaoye is able to pick up kill number 2 for himself. A 4v5 on the map for the next 40 seconds, and the map right now only consists of Weibo Gaming's base, as LGD have taken everything else except it. The Baron buff has now expired, but 3 inhibitors are going to go down at the cost of it. One of the most valuable Baron power plays I've ever seen.
Absolutely, they can just keep pushing on right here as well with this lower range composition that really struggles with the wave clearance stepping up right now.
Oh, Burdol, he's going for a 2-man Gnar into Weibo's own Nexus. The bot laners just get instantly deleted. The Cataclysm won't do anything as the Nexus is now exposed. We are not in the Twilight Zone just yet, but the sun is starting to set in game number 1. LGD pulling off the upset, and they open this series with a bang.
Grapes, what is happening? What is going on? There's
I don't
no
know.
way. There's no way.
I'm really at a loss for words right now. We went in saying, look, we're making jokes like, man, all the other series are going to be so fun, so competitive, and then there's going to be Weibo LGD.
Yeah.
And right now, it's looking competitive or non-competitive on LGD's side. Weibo,
Yeah.
what's going on, man?
Yeah. I mean, I was worried about this composition coming out of Weibo. It was pretty short-ranged. They had a bot lane they really wanted to make work early on, but into an Ashe Seraphine that's very good at neutralizing things out. And we just didn't see Jiejie getting involved early game enough, right? He doesn't get into the bot lane that much. He's able to get that good steal away onto the Drake. That's nice. That's something to potentially play around. But they never then tried to repeat any of that. And I think the biggest issue with this entire game is that I never see Xiaohu actually flash forwards and get somebody full comboed and they just die. You know, you never see Weibo full index into picking somebody off with their blow up onto one person and then make the rest of the team fight work. Instead, they're trying to make these team fights work in a far more split and just far more open situation, and it takes a lot longer. And over the course of a long team fight, you're allowing Burdol to get multiple rounds of spells. If you're allowing Shaoye to just sit and hit the entire time. Sorry, Heng to just do his thing the entire time. I mean, it was really impressive overall from LGD. But Weibo, what was that?
The early game looked good, and then nothing else looked good after that. It seemed like just the way that Weibo played those team fights just was not it. They weren't able to control positioning at the right time. They burned a lot of stuff probably a little bit prematurely, and they really came down to that soul fight at that point, Bloxxer, and for Weibo, they didn't get the dragon. It felt like they were going to be really in a bad spot, and man, they just end up falling flat, and that is really disappointing for a team that we thought was heating up over the last few weeks. They started off the season 2-6 in Group Ascent. We were like, oh man, Weibo's really off to a slow start. 4-2 in their last 6 series entering Knights Rivals, and right now they're down a game to LGD.
So LGD, right? Like, as much as LGD came out of this split as the third place team in Group of Honor, I would pretty solidly put them as the fourth best team coming out. I think the EDG probably deserved to be the third best after that loss at the end to Thundercloud, right? And LGD, they had shown us some decent stuff towards the start of the split, but they lost everything towards the end of the split. They win versus OMG and EDG to kick things off, but then they lose 3 on the bounce to Ultra Prime, they beat Thundertalk, and then they lose to Ellen. Like, this was not a team that was doing particularly well coming out of the back end of the split. The complete opposite, really, of what was happening here for Weibo.
Really questioning what's going on here. The top side of the map, we're going to have to focus on that a little bit more going into Game 2, because Burdol and Zika both were, high points for their respective teams in the back half of the season. And Burdol just absolutely dominated Zika in this one. He got a little bit of help from his jungler in the early game. A little bit of help from the bot lane too, who ended up doing a 4-man rotation up to the top side of the map. But once he got that early kill, Bloxxer, it was just non-stop for Burdol.
Yeah.
He was able to time his Narbars actually pretty well, ending up actually, basically hitting ultimates in every single one of those crucial team fights.
And I mean, Gnar can be a pretty telegraphed champion. The sort of champion where you're like, we know what's happening. The Gnar bar is up. And Weibo, they didn't do a particularly great job of playing around the Gnar bar, but at the same time, Burdol just didn't let them. He was sitting off-screen in a lot of situations. In that final fight where he manages to find that big Gnar, he flashes over the wall in order to make that happen, and comes from off-screen to be able to catch people off guard. Just really well played, and Burdol is most definitely my vote for the MVP of this game. He was incredible in every single one of these team fights.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. I think everyone really played well on LGD's side, but Burdol really shining, hitting some incredible ultimates in this game. And as for Weibo, just not a lot of answers. It feels like a very different team than what we were able to see in the last half of the regular season. I think, to be fair, some of the series that they did play were very close and very weird ones, right? Like the WE series that they basically almost got 3-0'd in, ended up winning 2-1. Technically, that's a win in their book, right? But yeah, some of the same mistakes that we saw from them at the start of the year, just not being able to be on the same page, combined with the fact that, the champion pools weren't necessarily looking good for them either here. Kind of surprised to see Elk on the Lucian after all the struggles that they've had in the laning phase, but that's where we're at right now, and Weibo really going to have to find an opportunity to adjust, because very quickly this series could get out of hand.
Absolutely it can, and I think about Weibo as a very much momentum-based team. They can come back after things start going wrong for them, but when they get rolling, they are very good to be able to just keep things going, keep the momentum high, maybe lose one or two things, having a bit of a Weibo moment, but starting out with a loss right here to a Group Nirvana team, that's not particularly fun. As we said, they've been able to 3-0 in all of their previous matchups versus Group Nirvana teams, and I think this opens up a very interesting conversation as to whether or not it is that the mid to bottom end of Group Ascent are getting worse, or if Group Nirvana's overall quality is going up. And I gotta say, I think that it's a little bit of both, but I do think these Group Nirvana teams are looking so much better than they did previously.
It felt like there was a decent amount of parity in Group Ascent. Even teams like WE were taking games against the top teams. We saw NIP obviously pull off major upsets. Weibo even winning series against teams like JDG and TS. So that was, to my knowledge, all that we needed to see that maybe Nirvana, at least some of these top teams, were going to have easy times, but that clearly has not been the case. We are guaranteed at this point, by the end of today, to have Nirvana teams winning more total games overall than Ascent teams. That is just mind-boggling at this point. Weibo going to have to at least make it a little bit closer if they want to win this series and stay in the playoff race, but man, the LPL just never seems to match your expectations. We should know better. This is our second year doing this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. As we said, Burdol was absolutely going to be the MVP of this game. He was really solid for his team throughout the entirety of that game. Finding big ultis, was also just laning pretty well. You know, yes, he falls behind a little bit early on, but then he's able to do really well for himself. And what I was most impressed with was his split pushing. He never got caught on any of those split pushes. He was constantly threatening towers, the tier 2 towers, the tier 3 towers, both top and bot side, but didn't get caught out, which we see from a lot of top players. Even the top tier of top players from Group Ascent still get caught on their split pushes, so it's really nice to see him working those lanes as well as he did, and just putting somewhat match pressure onto Weibo.
Burdol, the new addition to this LGD team going to Split 2, ends up coming up huge for them as they get a big win over the Group Ascend reps in Weibo Gaming. That's going to be it for our coverage of game number 1. We'll see if Weibo even things up once